So if you played the Arc Raiders Server Slam, you've probably been fiending for the game's release like I have. And if you've been scrolling YouTube trying to vicariously scratch the itch through gameplay videos, you've probably seen a bunch of build guides telling you what skills to put points into when the game comes out. They range from pretty decent to completely delusional, but none of them are perfect in my opinion, and a lot of the guides seem to be pure speculation, so I figured I would make my own guide to rule them all, and not only explain my ideal perk choices, but also explain why some of the other commonly chosen perks are suboptimal. So first off, none of the end tree perks are worth going for. There's too many dead perks in each tree to justify putting in 36 points into any one of them just for a mediocre perk. The only half-decent perk at the end of a tree is Security Breach, and it requires 36 points in the worst tree. Also, a lot of the build guides I have seen focus way too much on PvE. I would like to remind all the people for whom Arc Raiders is their introduction to extraction shooters that this is a PvP game, and you need to optimize your build around winning fights first and foremost. If you can't do that, then you will forever be food for the players that do. The PvE isn't that hard, and if you carry a gun with high penetration, it should be no problem. So for the first perk, you're going to want Marathon Runner and Youthful Lungs. These are pretty much the only perks I've seen every guide agree on, because they're pretty much absolute must-haves. Put 5 points into each as soon as you can. To top off your stamina tree, put a few points into Slip and Slide, and grab Calming Stroll as your big perk. I chose Calming Stroll over Carry the Momentum, because if you're dodge rolling, you're probably going to be standing and shooting shortly after, so the sprint stamina negation doesn't really come into play. Whereas you'll always get value out of Calming Stroll while traversing the map, and it'll help you to get to high loot locations faster than other players. Now here, a lot of the builds will tell you to spec into field crafting, but field crafting is not optimal. While it's nice in the very early game to get a few extra bandages in your free kits, after your first few raids, when you put your points into stamina, you'll have enough resources to get meds before the raid, and later into the progression, the worse this perk becomes. I pretty much never crafted in raid after the first few hours of the Server Slam. Skip it and put those points into use to the weight instead. At level 5 it fully negates the move speed penalty of shields, so it'll be a godsend when you start running medium and heavy shields every raid. Now, the Agile Croucher perk in the survival tree can be huge or borderline useless depending on if you're playing solo or not. If you're mostly a solo player, you should absolutely max this perk as soon as you can, since solos is far rattier and you'll be crouching around the map for a quarter of your raids to get the drop on other players. If you're mostly a team player though, this perk is kind of bad, as fights are usually door or hallway fights, and you won't need to crab walk nearly as much. From there, you'll have to choose between two weight reduction perks, Broad Shoulders in the survival tree, or Loaded Arms in the conditioning tree. Broad Shoulders gives an extra 2 kilograms of carry weight per point, while Loaded Arms significantly reduces the carry weight of equipped weapons and all equipped mods. It was 100% in Tech Test 2, but it should still be a significant reduction after the nerf. And thus, the choice for Loaded Arms first is obvious. A primary and sidearm with a few attachments easily go over 10 kilograms. And if you kill someone in raid and swap their primary for your secondary, you'll save even more weight. Not only does Loaded Arms give more benefit, it also requires only 1 perk point as opposed to 5. For the perks leading up to it, I put 5 into Proficient Prior, because it's something you have to do all the time in raid, makes a lot of noise, and locks your camera angles. The other perks can just be whatever you want. Also for the big perk, it's personal preference again. I have no strong feelings about either one, but I personally went with Unburden Roll. I think for trios, Unburden Roll is a bit better, since you have teammates to cover you while you use stims, and you should absolutely be carrying stamina stims, since they're so cheap to craft. Now, for the survival tree, there's one more perk that is super slept on. I see a lot of casual players fanning the survival tree for the wrong reasons, and a lot of PvP players writing it off as beginner bait. But with the Looter's Instinct perk being at the very beginning, it's actually kind of worth maxing. Doubly so if you're a solo player. Not only will looting fast help you maximize your efficiency in PvE, getting you in and out quicker, it'll also help you when looting player kills, especially in solos. Since a lot of the time people will die in open areas, looting them can be kind of risky, since there's always another team that saw the flares and is on their way. For solos, this perk is probably worth getting immediately after Agile Croucher, since there's 3 times as many teams waiting to third party in a solo lobby. So if the level cap is 50, go for conditioning since you'll get more value out of a single perk, and put the last few points into whatever you'd like. If the level cap is 60, then we can go for both survival and conditioning weight perks. I would still say to go conditioning first, except maybe if you're a solo player that's already put some points into survival. But here's the thing, you probably don't want both weight perks. When you're encumbered from loot, it's usually just a few kilograms overweight, and when you're encumbered for picking up guns and shields after a big fight, it could be like double your weight cap. Having a weight perk will help in the first scenario, but having a second won't help in the other. Instead of unlocking a bunch of stuff you don't want in a second tree, spend those points on some other marginally useful stuff that you actually will use. Something like less stamina for rolling, faster crawling while downed, or whatever you want. You'll probably be pretty close to the level cap at this point, so it's just a few throwaway points for random stuff you like. But if you're dead set on double carry weight perks, you can have them and stay under 60 points. You might as well put in a few points into Looter's Luck while you're at it. And no demo, Looter's Luck doesn't give you double items, it just reveals 2 slots at once while looting. Keep in mind that the ordering of this tree isn't fully rigid. The only things I 100% would stress you get first are the stamina perks. But even then, you don't have to go all into that tree. You can put a few points into some of the starter perks from the other trees if you'd like. There's no real best perks past the first 45-ish levels, but by the time you get there, assuming you're not a GigaSweat streamer, there's probably going to be more information available on the wiki or other community discords. I wish Embark would give us numbers instead of vague descriptions for the perks, but what can you do? Anyways, I hope this guide was helpful. It's my first YouTube video, and if it does well, I might make some more in the future.